Hi, welcome to Stories with me, Shonna. Today we're reading chapter 24 of The Barren Grounds by David A. Robertson, a fantastic story about real friendships made, saving the world, bringing hope back to the world, saving the environment, heroism and bravery. Oof, it's a fantastic story. When we last left off, Ochik had given up his whole life to be able to bring the green time back to his people, to restore hope and balance in the world. And the Creator changed Ochik into a constellation that you could see up in the night sky as a reminder of his bravery, his courage, his loyalty, and that it was a life, a noble life, and a noble sacrifice. And now his friends don't even have time to really even register all that's happened because that bad guy is chasing them with arrows and they're running away. And they're trying to save their own lives because it's still in danger. They're still in a lot of trouble. Chapter 24. Get yourself ready, settle in. I can't wait. Let's go. The green time had swept across the land, affecting the trees, the air, and the ground underfoot. The path that had only been suggested before was clear now. Arik, Morgan, and Eli followed the path when it went straight and ignored it when it veered off. The man was bearing down on them. That means he was getting closer. Morgan could hear his footsteps. As he tracked them, he shouted out threats which felt sharper than arrows and more deadly. "I'll kill you. I'm going to eat you for supper. You can't run forever." They may not have been able to run forever, but his threats did make the group run faster. They crashed through groves and jumped off short cliff faces that populated the mountainside, never letting up. The canyon drew closer, and the bridge that would lead them to Missoa. When an arrow whizzed by their heads or hit a tree close by with a sharp thwack, they didn't look, they just kept running. Oh my gosh, they must have been so tired. If the man stopped to shoot, it meant they had the slightest bit more space between them and him. There was no time to talk, no time to slow up. "To the bridge, children," Arik shouted when they came to the base of the mountain. They sprinted towards the canyon. Morgan turned around to see the man. He was running after them no more than 50 yards off. That's not very far away. "Hurry!" Morgan turned back around to find Arik and Eli just standing there, each looking hopeless and defeated. Each staring down at the canyon. Oh, remember the canyon that they have to cross? Oh no. "What are you doing? He's coming." "It's gone," Eli said. What do you think he's referring to? Do you remember how they crossed the canyon the first time and how afraid Morgan was to go across? "What's gone?" But Morgan saw what Eli meant. The ice bridge had melted. It had melted away, the new warmth leaving only a portion of it behind, a little icicle protruding from the other side. Too far away from them, too far to jump, too far to help them across. "We need to get to the wood bridge," Arik said. But there was no time, and they knew it. The man had caught up to them while they stared into the abyss. He was standing 20 feet away, his bow in one hand at the ready, an arrow in the other. "I had a good life over the mountains," the man was panting from the chase. "You all took it away from me." He raised his bow and aimed the arrow directly at Morgan. "That is not the good life." Arik stepped in front of Morgan. "You're mistaken." "Move, squirrel," the man said. "My name is," sorry for the pronunciation, "Arik Watchus," she said, "and you suck." She turned around to Morgan and whispered, "Did I Yeah, that was pretty good, Morgan whispered back. I don't care what your name is. Move, the man said. It's Arik for short, but you can't call me that because my friends call me that. Are you trying to not get shot? The man asked. Okay, she hesitated. You can call me Arik. I'm still going to shoot you, the man said. Arik turned to the children. Well, that didn't work. What were you going for there? Morgan asked, and Arik shrugged. Morgan put her hand on Arik's shoulder and moved her aside. She walked forward a few steps and stopped. Morgan focused on the arrowhead at first, which was aimed directly at her chest, her rapidly beating heart, and then she looked the man right in the eyes. Stay calm, she thought. Stay calm. She pushed the burning feeling deep down and kept her voice steady. What's your name? The man lowered the bow, then aimed it again at Morgan. Mason. I guess you might as well know my name before I kill you. They call me Iskoisis here, she said. It means girl. Good for you. Again, I don't care. Calm down. We're just talking. I'm done talking. This isn't a movie where you can just stall until you get rescued. Nobody is coming to save you. Arik stood beside Morgan. You were given as much as you needed, but you decided to take even more. We could have all lived together. We were living together. Well, Arik, what you were giving me wasn't enough. Mason's eyes looked wild, and that's when Morgan saw it. His body, like those of the animals she'd seen in Missawa, looked thin, emaciated. Emaciated means like so skinny from hunger, like he close to death almost. His clothing, like Ochik's, looked too big for him. He had moved away with the green time, but was starving all the same. You're always going to starve, no matter where you go, no matter how much there is for you, she said. Shut up, Mason said. Are you trying to guilt me? I'm going to take all three of you back and cook you. Oh, so you were actually serious about that? Arik asked. You weren't just mad? Of course I was serious, the man said. Gross, Arik mumbled. What's your problem? Morgan asked. The green time is for everybody, and so are all the other seasons. If you don't like the winter, too bad. It's like a couple of months. They've lived through it for years in a row. Just deal with it. If I can have 5 months of warmth, why can't I have 12 months of warmth? Mason asked. Because you don't deserve it. Can't you hear yourself talking? Who are you to say what I deserve? What do you deserve? Morgan tried to hide the fact that her whole body was shaking. She tried not to feel her heart thumping. She looked away from the arrow and locked eyes with Arik and then finally Eli. I just want to be with my family. Arik stepped in front of Morgan. You'll have to kill me to get through to her. And me. Eli stepped in front of Arik. Don't be silly, get behind me, Arik whispered to Eli. Then she shuffled in front of him. Honestly, if anybody's going to get shot, it's going to be the squirrel that's been alive for hundreds of years. Why do you kids even care about this place? Mason asked. Who do you think you are? I know exactly who I am, Morgan said. Do you? How did you even get here? Wow, that's a big change for Morgan, isn't it? When she went there, she had forgotten who she was. She forgot all about her indigenous heritage and her family that she was born into. She'd forgotten about her mother. She'd forgotten about all of the teachings and her indigenous way of life. And now she's remembered who she is. And she's saying maybe Mason doesn't know who he is either, and he's lost. How did he get here? Morgan didn't think he would answer, but it was a mystery that she wanted to solve. If he'd come through the great tree, then wouldn't he have to come through Katie and James's house? Oh, that's true. Was he some random guy who found something while breaking and entering? Was it by chance alone? You know what? That's enough, Mason said. Morgan heard the bowstring tighten as he pulled it back to touch his chin. She could see everything so clearly under the white moon, under the brilliant stars. She took Eli's hand and held it tight and focused on the stars, on the new constellation that had been made, Ochakachikosuk. She focused on the constellation that was Ochak, right? She focused on that and closed her eyes. She expected to feel an arrow enter her body. But what do you think happened? But instead, she heard a roar that echoed across the North Country. She opened her eyes and looked in the direction the roar had come from. A pair of bright yellow eyes descended from the mountain and approached the canyon, accompanied by a low and continuous growl that made the ground tremble. Good. Mason lowered his bow and arrow. I was wondering where you were. I won't have to waste more arrows. Kill them. No, we saved you, Eli said. Once they're out of the way, Mason said, we'll find the summer birds and bring them back where they belong. They don't belong to anybody, Arik said. They're creatures of Kisamenetu. You know this, Mahakan. I said, kill them, Mason shouted. Mahakan looked back and forth from Mason to the humans and Arik. Then he howled towards the sky in agony. Now, Mason shouted again. The wolf took a step towards the travelers, but stopped. Fine, you stupid dog. Mason raised his bow for a final time, pulled back the string, and aimed the arrow at Morgan. I'll do it myself. Mahakan let out an ear-shattering roar and leaped towards the man, knocking him over as he released the string. The arrow careened towards the canyon, far from Morgan. The wolf and Mason rolled violently across the ground and towards the canyon's edge before disappearing over the side. The siblings rushed to where the man and wolf had fallen off. Mahakan was grasping at the edge with just one paw. Mason had fallen all the way down to the bottom, disappearing into the thawed river so far below. Eli wrapped his hands around the wolf's front leg and gripped it tightly. Morgan reached down and took hold as well, but he was so heavy. Get your other leg up, Morgan said. Mahakan tried, but couldn't get a hold. His leg was slipping out of their grasp. Arik leaned over and grabbed hold too, so all three of them were trying to keep the wolf from falling, but Mahakan's leg kept sliding away. Try again, Eli said. But this time, Mahakan didn't try. He looked up with his piercing yellow eyes, and his paw slipped. Morgan looked for as long as she dared, and then turned away before he hit the water. All she heard was the splash. Wow. I wonder what made the wolf join forces with that man anyway. What made him forget who he was? Why did he turn into a bad character? And then it looks like the way that he was treated by Morgan and Eli and Ochik and Arik, the way that they treated him with compassion and forgiveness helped remind him of who he was. And when he was faced with the choice, he took the right one and he saved the kids. I'm sad that he died. That's a shame. And I wonder what happened to that man to make him become such a bad guy. So selfish. He wanted everything for himself. And it ruined everything for everybody. And for himself. It was never enough, was it? Have you ever seen greed like that? Where it just seems like it's never enough. And people want it all for themselves? They're not happy or having it all for themselves, are they? There's never enough. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I am so glad that everybody's okay and that they survived that and that the green time is back. I wonder how they're going to get back to Missoua and what everybody's going to say to them when they see them. I will see you again next time. Thank you for joining me today. Bye-bye.